This is the Christmas Movie Screenwriter Podcast, episode number 26. Hello, and welcome to the Christmas Movie Screenwriter Podcast. I'm your host, Karen McCann. The Christmas Movie Screenwriter is a podcast about writing, producing, and selling Christmas movies. You can find a transcript, show notes, and an action checklist on my website. Just go to www.christmasmoviescreenwriter.com and look for this episode, which is number 26. A quick few words about what I'm working on. I'm going to register my latest script, Christmas script, which is my second Christmas script, with the U.S. Copyright Office today. Then I hope to find some readers, and next week I will shortlist production companies to send it to. Then the plan, this is a separate goal, is to find an editor and a book cover designer for my novel, my first novel. And to stay on track, I'm going to write a list of deadlines working backwards so I can release a novel in time for a particular holiday in early 2025. And now, here is the main segment. Zac Hug is a television writer and teacher of creative writing. TV credits include Drop Dead Diva on Lifetime, Shadowhunters on Freeform, and wow, just a whole lot of movies for Hallmark, including Road to Christmas, Matching Hearts, The Ghost of Christmas Always, and The Sister Swap, and Christmas in Evergreen series. Plays produced in the New York Fringe Festival and the Williamstown Theater Festival Workshop. Zac teaches television writing at UCLA Extension, DePaul University, and the University of British Columbia. He lives in Los Angeles with his husband Dan and an old man dog named Pickles. Wow, I love that bio. Well, Zac, welcome to
Yes.
the Christmas Movie Screenwriter Podcast today.
Thank you for having me. And my writer's assistant, Pickles.
Yeah. Well, you've got a lot of experience just judging by your IMDb page. But tell me, how did you break into Christmas movies?
Shadowhunters, interestingly enough. So I was in a writer's room with a writer named Holly Overton, who is so funny and great. And we would sit across from each other and I just loved her. I love her writing. And her sister Heather was an executive at Hallmark for a long time. And I said, great, I have the worst idea for a Christmas movie. And she said, well, send it to me. And I did. And then they made it. And it was Road to Christmas. It was originally called The Three Wise Men.
Okay.
Um, but it turned into Road to Christmas. And I think from there, I think the first one that you write is you kind of get your head around both the brand and how to
Right.
do 9X. And after that, they gave me a rewrite to do for one of the Evergreen movies, and I did them both pretty quickly, and they love
Okay.
that.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah,
So
that's a talent.
yeah, so I kind of became that was 2017, and now I think 15 of them have been produced, and
Wow, wow.
written a few that haven't, but like it's been an incredible learning process, and I love doing it.
So
So
you went in as an experienced TV writer already in a room.
yeah, I will. Yes. What's so strange was that I worked in digital media for a long time. I had a degree in playwriting or in theater,
Okay,
but
okay.
most writer. And then I worked in I wrote the blogs for the Real Housewives of Orange County. I had some weird writing jobs, and then
I love
um,
it.
I was at Disney for a while I managed content, which is a terrible word. And then I became a TV writer kind of, I really sort of dedicated myself to it in 2013, and it
Wow.
went really well for me very quickly. So I had done a couple of rooms and then right into Christmas, and now I sit in this room by myself.
Wow, wow. Okay, but the first one you wrote was
Yeah,
produced.
yeah, it was pretty great. Yeah.
That wow, good on you. Wow, that's talent. Okay. So now some people say Christmas movies are formulaic. So how do you balance meeting audience expectations and staying fresh and not predictable and not cliche?
Yeah. Well, I embrace the cliche first. I think that's the main thing is to embrace it and then say, okay, well, what's different about this? That people watch them for reasons, right? We
Right,
watch them
right.
because they are I always say that these are movies about joy more than they're about anything
Right.
else. There's romance
Right.
in them, Christmas in them, but at the end of the day, what you're looking to do is make people feel joy at the end
Right.
in a way that moves them to tears, right? Like that,
Yeah. Yeah.
and finding new ways to do that is less about finding new ways to do that while also making sure that you deliver on what it is they watch these movies for.
Right.
That's a fun challenge, and also it has gotten easier. It's gotten both easier and harder. But I think also
Okay.
Hallmark. I've been at Hallmark pretty much exclusively with these movies, and they have changed, right? Like they are opening up to what, I'll pitch something sometimes and they'll say, okay, we've seen that a million times. Can we do better? Right.
Okay.
People always make fun of like, well, they always go back to their hometown. Well, yeah, you do at Christmas. That's what you do.
That's true. That's
You
true.
know, and even if you live in a city, which there is that sort of trope of it, we don't need to compete about which one is better anymore. We don't need to, do any of these things that really did start to feel really formulaic and tropey. And I think as long as you're chasing joy, you can
Right.
kind of you really can open yourself up to more creativity by saying, okay, well, she's got to go home. Is there anything there?
Right. Right.
Right? What
Right.
haven't we seen? Because there are only so many candy cane factories that you can
Right.
burn down, telling telling the same story. But,
That's great.
you know,
Do you try to put a tearjerker moment in your scripts?
I try for tears of joy
Tears of
every
joy.
because
Tears of
I
joy.
I love that more than I love anything in
Okay.
my own viewing and in my own. I remember very specifically the first time that it happened to me, and I think it's why I ended up a writer, was that I turned to my mother. It was The Secret of Nim in the theater, and I was sobbing, and I was so happy, and I was like, "What is this?" And she
Oh,
said, "Something
neat.
when you're
Huh.
happy about something," and I was like, "How do you do this to people?" Um, because
That's
it's just,
great.
I mean, it. What a great feeling, you
Yeah.
know.
Wow, that's very poetic. I love it.
Yeah.
I'm going to
Well,
remember it.
that's a life goal.
Yeah,
Tears of
yeah. Tears of
joy.
joy. I love it. I love it. So after you finish the script and it's ready to go out, what is the next step? How do you move it towards getting into production?
Yeah. Well, so for me, what's been really nice, and I've been very lucky, is that usually if I'm writing a script, they've already hired me to do it. I've
Okay.
kind of always had that. What I say to a lot of people is, first of all, right now, who knows, right? Like it is the Wild West. The industry it is all in a shamble, and it is rebuilding to be something we won't know what it is for a while. But it's
Hmm.
very hard to get anything made right now, and some of that's coming out of the strike. Something there's Wall Street's involved. It's a lot of very weird factors. What I will say though is, Hallmark itself makes 40 Christmas movies and 100 movies a year. So
Uh-huh.
they're still making all of these things. What I always tell people is that the network itself, they're very busy, but the production companies who make these movies, they'll read you, right?
Hmm.
And if they don't like it, you get to say, okay, great. Well, what are you looking for? And you get to have these kind of conversations. If you see a movie that you like, and you say, I really enjoyed this, who made it? Right? It's not necessarily that Hallmark is the person who made it. It's usually a
Right,
company
right,
and that you can reach out to. And some of them won't get back to you, but some of
right,
them are
right,
perfectly open to that and love that. Uh, Developing that relationship and nurturing a just any relationship that is people who work in the field and make that, I think is, you never know what's going to come of it. I always say that whatever meeting you take, something will come of it, but it's going to be 2 years later, which is great. It just means have the
right.
meeting, right?
Yeah,
You never know where something's going to turn up again.
yeah. Well, the thing about I like about Christmas movies is that it's if Scott Kirkpatrick, who is a producer who was on my podcast earlier, he wrote a book writing for the Getting the Green Light, and he had there's like these gold mine genres, and of course Christmas movies is one of them. And the thing about writers is that if you I'm just going to write whatever I want, and maybe there's no market for it. then you're
Yeah.
never going to sell it, no matter how good it is. But if it's the market is calling for it, and every year
Yeah.
Hallmark makes 30 to 60 of these movies, you know that there's a demand.
Yeah.
And, is that demand increasing, decreasing? I think we're always going to have that need for December Christmas movies.
Yes.
You're always going to have it.
Absolutely.
At least 60 are going to be made a
There's, I
year.
mean, I mean, and it's Hallmark, Netflix, Lifetime. I mean, there's a million places making
Right.
Christmas. People love
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
So people
That,
watch them throughout the year. I mean,
that's
Hallmark does
true.
Christmas, so
Uh,
you know, I think that's actually my favorite part of having the job is that I'll meet people and when they say, "What do you do?" I say, "I write Christmas movies for
ah,
Hallmark." Half the people are like, "Well, okay, then don't tell me." Right? Like
ah,
it sounds like a fake job, but a lot of people tell me that oh, when a relative of mine was very sick and uh, or people who
right.
are very anxious or people
Yeah.
or
Yeah. Yeah.
places where um, lots of people live, they watch these movies because they
Yeah.
know they're not going to be triggering and they're going to end in joy. And I think
Exactly.
that feels like a calling now in some way.
Yeah.
Now
That's
that I know
cool.
that I'm like,
That's so cool.
hey, I'm writing for you.
Yeah. I love it. I love
So
it. Now you're very established, but how would you suggest screenwriters expand their network of producers? Would you say going to film markets? If so, which ones? And or
uh,
competitions or online platforms, like
yeah.
Inktip or Stage 32, something like that.
So the thing that the first of all, no matter what happens, no matter what you do, the one common denominator for working writers that I know is a writers group. That
Okay.
if you can find people who are at the same level you are, so you've written one script and you're working on your second, find people who are doing that. I know that can be a challenge, but also that is really easier to find on various social platforms, right? So Twitter has a lot of those, or
Okay.
it did, or X. But look in the spaces that you are for people who will meet with you and then do that every week because it keeps you
Mm,
accountable, it keeps them accountable, and there's a thing that lifts all boats, particularly if you are all
right.
same level when you start. From there, doing that work together, doing that research of like, hey, I saw this open call for scripts, or I saw this competition. Should we all race each other to fill out the application?
Right. Right.
Something about the community of it makes it, there's a magic in there that has worked for so many people that I know that I can't recommend a writers group
Mm,
enough. Right. I think in expanding your sort of network towards producers and things, you'd be very surprised by how a group does that and
yeah.
reaches
Yeah.
out and reaches. So
Yeah.
start laterally is what I say. And then in terms of reaching to
Yeah.
producers in other places, I think contests still are valuable for that.
Okay. That's
There
good.
are there are people who will watch the contests, and usually they are uh, someone who wants to be an agent, who is a lower level at an
Mm,
agency, who's really hungry and wants to do something, and they do reach out to people who place second, third, fourth. Right. I think
good.
those are good places to start. I do think also someone will tell you at some point, I have a friend who makes those.
Mm,
Would they be interested in talking to me, not reading me? Right.
right.
Can I
Right.
ask them some questions and have an agenda that is, you don't want to waste anyone's time, but what you're looking for in a meeting where you say, how did you get started?
Right.
People like to talk
Right.
about themselves. I take those meetings all the time.
Right.
Uh, when I do have the time, I love talking about this, right? And helping someone get where they're going is what a delight. What a wonderful
Yeah.
feeling it can be. And so
Yeah.
I think people are willing to help, but they're also their jobs are always on the line.
Right. Yeah.
So
True.
you're dealing in kind of that space. But I think if you're just, open and kind and grateful, someone your
Uh,
grandparents would be proud of, and you go to that meeting,
uh-huh.
people remember you, and then you end up having these kinds of networks built around you.
And
So
how many people would you say is an ideal number for a writers group?
3 or 5. So
3 or 5.
odd numbers work best. You meet every week, and I say bring a timer so that every week there's two people who have turns, and it's 45 minutes each. You can use that time any way you want. If you want to read something out loud so you can hear it, or if, say, you want everybody to read 20 pages and then talk about it for 45 minutes, you have to be responsible for knowing, okay, my slot's next Tuesday. I have to get
I,
this a week in advance. So it
right,
starts to give you all of these things. But the odd number is fun because there's an unpredictability to when you're going to
right.
be. That can really help.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you get really busy and you're in a writer's group and you get really busy and you find that you're not generating and you're not doing as much as everybody else, you can step back for a bit, take
Mhm.
some time, let them find a new person, or you have a rule about when you leave the group.
Mm.
Um, because you do all want to be encouraging each other to get
Yeah.
work. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I'm going to start a writers group. There was someone who on one of these Hallmark Facebook groups who started one, and I wanted to join. And what she did was, uh, I guess, too many people signed up or whatever, but then it fizzled out because nobody attended.
yeah,
And
yeah,
so I think maybe it's better instead of putting a general call, maybe
correct.
just pinpoint individuals
Yes.
and
Find the
say, do
people
you,
that you want to work with. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Because
Otherwise,
people who challenge you, right? We all have
yeah,
writer friends who are either a challenge to us or are really good at pinpointing what we're doing right and what we're doing wrong.
right.
That's where to start. Those are the best people. Also, you get to have a glass of wine and
Yeah.
some, you know
There
what
you
I mean? Like
go.
make it fun, make it a social thing, so that it's
There you
not a
go. There
right.
you go. Now, do you attend film festivals, or do you just are your reps? I know you have a manager and an agent. Do they pitch you, or they're pitching you, and you need to contact producers on your log lines, or it's all right for hire now?
It's all pretty much right for hire. I've been really lucky that I genuinely enjoy the company of the people who work at Hallmark.
Good.
Whenever I meet them, like we are often on the same page about what these movies are, what they do for people, what what the intent is. And in the last probably 5 years, a lot of that network has changed and really opened up its ideas and what their world looks like. And that has been such a fun challenge to sort of you don't want to lose the audience you have, but at the same time you want to welcome in more people.
Right.
And I have really tried my best to be as helpful to that process as I can. Um, and so a lot of it is I'll go to a meeting or we'll have coffee and I'll be like, I'm thinking about this, and they'll be like, no, we're already doing something like that and it's too weird. But I've been trying for 5 years to get Christmas in Space done. And I'm
That would be
close.
that'd be great.
I'm close,
That's
Karen.
great. That's great. You
But
could.
5 years ago I pitched, I was like, I think the movie is she's the ghost of Christmas Present and she falls in love with Scrooge. And 5 years ago they were like, we're never gonna make that movie. And they made it 2 years ago. It was the Ghost of Christmas Always.
Oh,
And so I
wow.
think the more that you are
Okay.
in that,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
more you work an idea and you're feeling like, what if it's this? What if it's this? You get a sense of how it would work. And again, I think it's really, the trope, and then you go, wait, what if you'll see something or someone will say something and you'll go, oh wait, that's how I could spin this, that it's
Yes.
a
Yes.
charity
Yes.
or
So when you go to these meetings, do you have like one idea to pitch, or how many ideas are you ready to?
free.
Three. Three.
I take three. So, and I do say that if you get a meeting, if you end up with a meeting with a producer or someone at a network, it's because they've read something that you like. And I will
Mm,
say, Hallmark, they don't want you to send them their like a Hallmark movie. They'll read anything that you write. They just want to see that you're a good writer. But then when you go to that meeting, the three ideas that you bring them, one of them they're going to be like, "That's great," and they want to be helpful, right? They
okay.
have a product that they're making, um, and they want to help you do it. And so if they hear an idea they like and they go, "Okay, that's interesting. What if it's this and this?" and you go, "Yeah." Well, that's the easiest way to actually move forward with something. It's very rare that they'll read a script and go, "We want to produce this." Um,
Okay.
but they will read the script, go and say, "Ooh, I
Yeah.
like this writer. I like this voice. I like the characters here. and even if the story doesn't work, or say the story's really tight and the characters are a little bit off, they'll still say, "Come on, like
Okay.
let's." They're creatives too, so
Would
yeah,
would it be a bad idea for a writer to say, "Here's 20 log lines. What do you like?" Or is that overload?
it's overload. I would say have three that you love that you've given a lot of thought to, and
Mm,
you know the beginning and middle and end of at least
right,
quite clearly.
right, right.
I always write one page. I say three paragraphs. I can
Okay,
beginning, middle, and end. I can understand what the story is, and I think they want to know that too.
okay, all right. Well, getting a movie made can be stressful. So, how do you maintain a work-life balance? I know you got Mr. Pickles, but do you have any hobbies besides dog walking?
I mean, it's all pickles. I'm gonna tell you, this
Mr.
dog,
Pickles!
me, the one ear is pretty much how I get up in the morning. Um, he's fantastic. He's my writer's assistant.
He's so cute.
I also, I write other things. I, I've written 15 Christmas movies, and it's not that I've said all I have to say about Christmas, but the
Okay.
irony is I don't like Christmas very much. I'm great at it, and I was born in a Christmas tree farm. It's
No,
in
seriously?
yeah, in
Oh my
northern
gosh, you were
Christmas and
born to
yeah,
do
Christmas
this.
trees, apples, and strawberries. I'm a Hallmark character in a
You
lot of ways.
are, you are. That is
But I think,
hysterical.
um, I do want to write series again. I do want to get back into. I mean, I am in a room right now, which is fantastic. It's that's been really fun. But also, I think I have really started to love teaching more than anything else that I
Oh,
do. I think
neat,
teaching is
neat.
something I wanted to. I teach TV writing in a bunch of different places. I just started teaching rom-com writing at UBC, which is actually will be a class in the next year that you can just sort of anyone can
Wow,
take.
wow.
It's self-guided. And I love learning about this more,
Hmm.
and teaching gives me this incredible experience of understanding what I've done wrong and understanding what I've done right, and helping other people do that. Like there's nothing better to me than
Hmm.
someone saying, I want to learn how to write, and go, come here.
Mm,
Um, that part's really fun. I
mm.
travel, I enjoy that.
Okay, cool.
Because Christmas movies, we write them all year because they're made year round.
Right,
But
right.
I try to, I've been in this room for weeks
Oh, yeah.
writing. And
Okay,
when that's over, I like to go away and
right,
try to avoid
right,
romance or Christmas or anything. I
right.
just want to like lie there and perhaps read a book.
Yeah,
Because my brain gets soft over time. Like I get confused, you're constantly working story, and it's kind of like living six lives at once.
right.
And you just it's I don't know where I put my keys half the time.
Yeah.
So I do have to go away and recharge. And a lot of
Yes,
times that just involves being very quiet and seeing a play or
neat.
seeing my mother. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
the pie.
yeah.
I cook a lot. That's I think for me
That's cool.
in thinking I can't really shut down during the day. Like if I have to keep the story going, I will go in the kitchen and then I understand a little bit more of what I'm doing. So
Okay, all right. Are you baking gingerbread cookies? Is that going on in your head?
no, I've gotten so my husband is Korean American, and so there's a lot of Korean food in our house, and I'm not good
Oh,
at it.
it's tough.
But I'm trying.
Okay,
Uh,
good, good, good.
uh, but I'm taking some French classes and I'm taking some French cooking. Like
Oh
I'm trying to get
my, wow.
books. And
You're a Renaissance.
I do a lot with the
Yeah,
food.
yeah. You're
Sometimes
you're
it's great.
you're a real Renaissance man.
I try.
That's impressive.
I
So
try.
so what advice would you give to your younger self?
Finish the script. I think
Yeah,
that's what changed everything about my writing was uh honestly, I got into a writer's room. That changed a lot was getting to a writer's room, but before that there really was I would start things and I would fix it as I was going.
right.
there's a lot of people who do love to write this way, but what I realized was that when I would get to the end of the script, I had rewritten the beginning 50 times and the ending once.
Mm,
So what I started saying to myself was write the beginning, then write the ending, and then write the middle.
okay.
That gave me, I knew what was wrong with the script when I saw how it ended. And every time I would get to the end, and it still happens, I get to the end and I go, oh, I got all that wrong. But I wouldn't have known that till I get, so it really saves me an enormous amount of time to write stuff I'm going to cut, right? I will write pages and
Right.
pages and pages that will
Right.
never make the script, but
Right. Right.
getting to the end is has been the secret to having a career for me because
Okay.
it changed how I looked at structure because it made structure of a story something I could look back at rather than trying to fit in by following a paint by numbers thing. It made me
Right.
write what I
Right.
wanted to write and then look back and go, what's not working? Where is that in the structure? What do I know about that beat? How do I make it better? And I think that's a better use of everyone's time when you're writing is to, we
Right.
all want to read these books on screenwriting and hope that it works, but I think that those books turn out to be something that once you have a first draft,
Mm,
then when you see something like here's what a midpoint is, if you can look at your own script rather than saying a midpoint is this and trying to craft one based on this book,
right.
looking at it retrospectively is a much cleaner
Yeah.
experience for how the
Right.
brain processes the information. So I
Yeah.
would tell myself, stop writing that one play
Yeah.
over and over again and write the next thing and then write the next thing and just get
Right.
to the all of them. Some of them you'll never see again. It's fine.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean, I just pulled out something I wrote 20 years ago and used pieces of it for a script for Hallmark because that
Exactly.
it's all there.
Exactly.
It's
Yeah.
not
Yeah. Yeah.
so
You can always reuse it. So
yeah,
excellent.
yeah.
Well, excellent. So, Zach, would you like to wrap up with any social media details or website links so our audience can keep track of your work or upcoming projects?
I honestly, I kind of keep telling people like I'm on IMDb. I am on IMDb. Boy, that's a phrase.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because my socials I don't really participate anymore. Um, just because I find it takes away from my thinking process. It's a
Yeah,
lot of
yeah,
headspace.
yeah,
But
yeah,
IMDb
yeah.
updates every time they make one of my movies, and I think that's a fun place to do it. I have one coming out next week, October 27th. There's a movie
Okay.
called The 5 Year Christmas Party, with Jordan Fisher and Katie Finley, and they're both amazing. Um, yeah, I think it's that.
October
I'm
27th on Hallmark.
October 27th on Hallmark, Sunday night.
Oh, oh,
I'm excited. We'll get
nice.
to watch it together. Um,
Wonderful.
yeah, but yeah, it's kind of, I am Zach Hug on pretty much all the socials, just ZACHUG. If you'd like to follow me, great. That's it. Just
Okay.
don't ever pitch me an idea because I can't hear. That's a
Yeah,
whole thing.
exactly.
The
And
whole legal thing.
it's a good thing, it's good to say that most people know it, but you
Yeah.
sometimes you have to remind people.
It's
So,
true, and it makes me so sad when someone writes me these long emails, and I'm just like, I had to delete this. I'm so sorry.
yeah.
So yeah,
Excellent. Well, Zach, thank you so much for sharing your experience, your knowledge. It was
thank you for
really
having me.
enlightening. And oh, you're so welcome. Thank you for coming on the Christmas Movie Screenwriter podcast today.
Of course, and thank you for interviewing writers about these. Often, my friend Aaron Rodman adores you, and
Oh,
we talk about how much fun this is all the time. So,
thank you to Aaron. And thank you for introducing Mr. Pickles.
oh
I'm gonna
well, yeah,
tell people, bring your dog to work.
oh, absolutely, yeah, we must.
Okay, thank you so much,
Thank you
Zach.
so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
And now for my action checklist. I have 4 items for your action checklist from my interview with Zach. Number 1, deliver joy to your audience. Focus on creating joy-inducing moments in your Christmas movies. Think outside the box, but stay true to the heart of the genre and aim for tears of joy rather than tear-jerker moments. And I think this is, I love this idea. And now the title of this podcast is Why Tears of Joy Sell Christmas Scripts? Well, what's the answer? There are 3 parts, which are A, people crave joy. Audiences watch Christmas movies to feel uplifted and inspired. By crafting tears of joy moments, you fulfill their desire for emotional highs, making your script more appealing to producers. B, emotional connection. Joyful emotional payoffs create lasting connections with viewers, giving your story a broader appeal. Producers seek scripts that leave audiences feeling good and connected to the characters. And C, true to the genre. Christmas movies revolve around joy and hope. Creating innovative, joyful moments while staying true to the genre ensures your script resonates with both audiences and producers. In short, Tears of Joy are a powerful tool to meet audience expectations, helping your script stand out and increasing the chances of being sold. Now, number 2 on my checklist, utilize writers groups effectively. Create a writers group with 3 or 5 members. Odd numbers work best for rotation. And use a timer for feedback. Zach suggested 45 minutes per person, usually 2 people per session. Number 3, pitch meetings. Prepare well thought out ideas and have 3 pitches ready rather than flooding the producer with lots of log lines. And tailor your pitch to meet the needs of the producer and their audience. And 4, finish what you start. Finish your script before revisiting for improvements. Don't rewrite the same material over and over. Focus on completing new projects. And you can repurpose old material. So consider incorporating scenes or ideas from past scripts into new ones so nothing is ever wasted. Well, that's the show. Thanks for listening. To show your support, please give us a 5-star rating on Apple or wherever you get your podcasts. And you can fuel more great content by buying me a hot cocoa on Buy Me a Coffee. Just look for this page, Christmas Movie, and explore other inspiring podcasts and blogs on our website at christmasmoviescreenwriter.com. I'm your host, Karen McCann. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you on the next Christmas Movie Screenwriter podcast. Bye.